There's a difference between conjuring energy to harness versus receiving source energy that is provided. Welcome back to Along This Spiritual Journey. So, we always hear about people talking about empaths and witches and divine energy and sacred. And there's so many different ways we can put this. I've talked about this before. Everything is dualistic. There's a dark and a light. Doesn't mean one is evil or one is bad, but it can become evil and bad if used in the wrong way or becomes a distorted intent, which then gives you black magic, right? This is where we get lost in translation of energy work. Energy work is simply receiving. It's allowing yourself to be in the best state of being, which means mental health, emotional health, physical health, all things that are important to receive divine messages because divine energy likes to work through pristine vessels. I don't mean body shapes or any of that. I'm talking about your energetic body. Are you healed from majority of your trauma? Are you at least aware and can acknowledge it without blaming it on others and allowing yourself to let go, to receive? Because once you let go of the old, remember, the divine feminine energy is literally about life and death. She is the phoenix. They are the phoenix. It represents all. So a part of it has to die to be reborn again. That's why the butterfly and the chrysalis is so important. It goes from the caterpillar to the chrysalis to the butterfly, right? There's stages to making sure that you are receiving your divine plan in order to become what you're meant to be. Receiving source energy is simply taking care of the gift. The gift is the body, the gift is life. That's the gift. So when you take care of it, regardless of how it looks to other people, as long as you love on it and you take care of it and protect it, you're going to receive divine energy. What happens when you start conjuring energy, which is when we get into dark magic and when people start stigmatizing witches, is when you start looking at people receiving their gifts and then you don't know why. And then you become bitter. And then you start looking at how they walk and talk and studying them, and you start trying to act like them and be like them and mimic them. You're sourcing energy and you're harnessing energy from them, right? When you hang around somebody like, I just want to be around them, they're so contagious. In that moment, you're harnessing their energy because they're in their divinity, they're in their divine source. So they're going to have an overflow, and that's where you're going to be drawn to them. But we've said this, just like moths to light, if you are in a dark state of being and you're drawn to light and you don't know how to receive your light, you're going to start conjuring emotions. You're going to start conjuring thoughts that really don't exist, but you're going to make them exist and you're going to start having foresight. Remember, witches have foresight too. They can see what they need to see in order to conjure something from the next source to make sure that they stay relevant and alive. This is distorted energy. I'm not saying all witches are distorted. Don't get me wrong. I'm saying it's been misconstrued that when you conjure for bad intent and not to help, then you're using it for distortion, and that's going to make black magic. If you're conjuring to heal, to pull something out, to reveal, that's healing work. So now that's divinity. So now you have these dualistic things. Bam, the divinity will always consume the darkness. It will always win. Why? Because love is about giving back. You have no malice with love. You have no attachment with love. You're supposed to just give it. When you are in dark love, you have an attachment to it because it has a meaning to you beyond what it should mean, because you've conjured up some thought or memory of story that it should be for you, versus just allowing yourself to receive what you need to receive. Yes, we're going to be put in elements and situations that weren't built for us. That's when you, the human, have to go into your spiritual self and your emotional self and ask, do you want to do the work to clear these type of feelings and thoughts? If you want to, it is not easy. This is why people say you have to understand you're going to fall apart. You're going to question everything. You're going to question your identity. But that's when you have to remember all divinity is identity because you are existing, right? We're breathing without controlling it. We need water and we can't. You can try to go without it as long as possible, but eventually you're going to need it. There's just parts of the body that we will never control, but that's divinity. All we can do is help preserve it. So if you are living on a divine purpose, you are preserving your gift, which is life. however that looks for you, as long as you're taking the time to exercise the body to a point that you're using it. Again, exercise the mind, exercise the throat, exercise the lungs, exercise the diaphragm, the legs, the everything, not just the shape and the physique, but the actual organs. Drink fluids that are going to hydrate and give back to you. This is again how you start receiving that, oh my God, this whole time I was doing this to myself and I didn't know. That's where all of the stigmas of how we eat and then judge ourselves and get lost in trauma with the physical come from, because we just get used to everyone else conjuring up an idea of what we should be and we consume it versus questioning it and clearing it. Conjuring energy is always going to take from the old. I always think of Hocus Pocus, where they're like a toe of this and her tail's rat and or whatever, da da da, and a child. And she has to put all these things that she took from other sources to then take their energy, to then give to this child, then to take their essence. You understand? That's the loop of distorted energy. And then you see they go on this rampage of destruction because they're not allowing themselves to heal from the past, which then becomes another type of identity. This is why I say it's important to understand when you do any type of energy work, you have to know which energies you are working with because they will speak to you in the voice that you want to hear. But if you have any type of malice built up against anything, it's going to come out in the type of work that you do. So, this is why I say it's important. You have to have self preservation. You always see it every witch movie. When they don't preserve themselves, they go after the one who's looks beautiful and is perceived as beautiful because it's something that most energies don't look at. We are told how to look. You choose how to look. Does that make sense? We are told that we're supposed to do things a certain way. So you can go out and conjure up all your energy and put together fake identities and then try to replicate that, but it never will feel like you because it's not your energy, right? That's why trends in fashion are confusing for some people. It's again, it's not a bad thing to copy fashion. It's cool. It makes you feel like you're a part of the community. But when you start to become that identity, like I only wear blue jeans and white t-shirts, fine. But don't say that down. That determines how you think about somebody else's identity and what they should do with their body and how they live their life and everything else, right? Because unfortunately, that's what it becomes. We conjure in these energies that represent something that aren't us, and they become ideologies that don't represent us. When you let yourself fall into your grace and into your divinity and say, I'm okay not fitting in. Yes, I want to be a part of a community. Yes, I want to give back and be loved. But I don't need to fit in. And I need to be okay with knowing if I don't fit in, I'm not going to bully myself and become mean and start finding ways to be mean to others to project. No. Let that stuff go and love on yourself. When you love on yourself, when we talk about self-love, self-care, and shadow work and all this stuff, this is the point. So when you have emotional moments of uncertainty, you don't just choose the thing that feels comfortable because it's available. You choose something because you know that's what you want. Even if you know it's going to be discomfort, you walk through it. Because when you walk through it, that's when you can see the light that you represent and present to yourself. And then you can say, oh, I just have to exist. I don't have to try so hard. Yes, you have to do stuff in the physical world still that lets your life be purposeful, pay bills, do this, da 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 da. But as far as needing to feel like you have to go out every day and try, you'll get to a point where that's not necessary. And then that's when we say manifesting becomes about the emotional state of being. Then when you can say, yeah, I want it, but I'm good if I don't have it. But that would be nice. And I can see myself with it. Oh my gosh, I can feel myself with it. Awesome. And then you walk away from the thought. And then out of nowhere, it appears. That's where the manifestation of miracles come in because you let it go. But if you're like, I need this thing, I want this thing, I need this thing, I want this thing, let me write it down 50 times, da, 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 da. That'll work, but that's also conjuring. That's conjuring in something through the physical where it works. But if you overly do it, now you're hyper focused. And that's when you start getting into the dualistic Black Mirror magic where be careful what you wish for because you had so much intent that you put into it, but you didn't have clarity. So I hope that makes sense. Preserve your energy, stop trying to conjure others, work on yourself, and everything will come to play. Love ya.